All right. So, hello everyone. Happy Thursday. It is Mimosa Hotline. I am here with the business besties. You've got Ronnie Bartless, your business strategist. You have Leilani Filipinko, your online business manager, and I, Ashley Rodham, your brand strategist. And we developed this. Um, just kidding. Sorry. I'm gonna kick out your otter. Remove. Don't report. I'm sorry, tech issues. Sorry, everybody. So we created this show to really just speak like the experts that we are, share our expertise with you, talk about different topics that come up for us during the week, and Kat's on the standby. Somebody else take this over. Yeah. Okay.
Uh-oh. I mean, we can't have a show without that happening.
So, anywho, Kat has been chucked off the desk slowly. I still have the wrist flick from water polo. That's just. So, at the end of our last call, we were diving into the concepts of perfectionism and PR. But just so everyone knows, we don't really know the direction of every call we get on. Sometimes we're just inspired by different topics. Sometimes there's things that are top of mind. So, we are just excited to chat because it's a talk show. So good morning, afternoon, ladies. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there. It's the end of the week and towards the end of the week, obviously it's Thursday. Friday Eve is what I like to call it. And it's been a very productive week and it's been good. I've actually been looking forward to the hotline this week to just brain and mastermind with you guys on business. And we missed our CEO date earlier this week, Ashley. So it was like, all right, I get to be with like-minded women and share our knowledge with everybody. So I'm excited.
Yay.
We're happy to have you back again.
Yeah, it's gonna be a thing. We're gonna have you join us. Is it the second Thursday, ladies? I need your help today. But the second Thursday of every month, we'll get all three of us together. And I think it's a really unique group because we're so diverse yet so similar in all of the ways. So it's just kind of fun. So let's green room live because people don't necessarily ever see us do this. But do we like these topics today? Do we want to talk about something else? Leilani, you said that you wanted to kind of brainstorm some things from the week. Like what happened during everybody's week? Like what happened?
Yeah, no, I've kind of had some work things happen. You know, I feel like when you're a small business and you're growing quickly, you meet lots of different people, lots of different relationships, right? And I entered into a relationship last year and I hadn't picked it back up until this year. And it came around because they had done some bad business practices. And I let it go because I was one of those things where you're just going to write it off, right? And so it happened to multiple other businesses and they were like, hey, we should contact the Better Business Bureau. And I was like, I don't think you can do that business to business, which you can't. So I was like, we should talk about that. You know, when you're a small business and you're looking for resources and you invest in your time and energy into other companies and then you don't get the return that you were promised or need, you know, the best way to go about that. In my case, I'd hired an internet person to help me with my website. I paid them $1,500 and I never even got a website or anything back from it. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to write it off, move in the other direction, created my own site. But this happened to multiple people. So they were like, all right, we have to do something.
You know, specifically websites is one of those things. When I get people that come to me for websites, this is normally a problem. This is so common apparently with websites and like trying to get people to do them for you, particularly like freelance developers. So like this is for sure a common problem. You're not alone.
I just don't understand. One of the things I was thinking so I had that experience. I pushed it to the side. I checked it off, right? I started building what Ashley refers to as her A-list, right? When you're working with people, you have an A-list of people. So when I'm referring someone, I'm like, I have done business with this person. I know they work. So a part of me thought to combat that, I could have on my website that I created on Squarespace, which I love, is preferred providers, right? And then put their information there. And that might help, you know, share. I don't know. I'm kind of in different places on this conversation, but I'm trying to think of how we can highlight the businesses that are doing what they're supposed to be doing and are really meeting their clients' needs and still combat, to help people not enter into the bad relationships, I guess, if that makes sense.
You're allowed to say bullshit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that one. The bullshit.
Yeah.
I forget we don't censor here.
No censor here. No.
No.
The whole point is to be truthful, unfiltered, raw, real, and like let it out as it is. I mean, to some extent, it is smart of you not to name names and to just say the situation as you have. I think that's it's business savvy and it's a good way to do it. I think I need to put out a small disclaimer, everybody. I'm a little under the weather, so I'm definitely going to be on like extra today of my advice on things. It frustrates me so much because I think every industry has this, right? There's always the bad apple in any bunch that you get. So it's a thing for sure. But I think for all of us, other VAs that didn't do VAs, OBMs, EAs, all the things that didn't do the job right, other marketers that didn't do the job right, other branders that didn't do the job right. I feel like sometimes I run a refugee camp and it's like the horror stories I hear and the like botched jobs. Like, we all laugh at the botched boob job, but seriously, it's like the botched website comes in and you're just like, what the is this? And I think it's hard because the world wants to be trusting. We want to have this, utopia mindset that we can trust vendors and that we can trust experts. And, I was almost going to go down the thing that you guys know about, but I was like, nah, we're going to not, it's hard. It's really hard. And to keep the faith in all of it, and just like, I see one thing that, I want to encourage, but with skepticism and grace at the same time, is when there is someone in the world or in the industry doing it wrong, they are going to hurt people. And it is important to, inform people of that. But at the same time, like there's also like this boundary of like when it becomes legal issues or it's criminal action or it's like all these other things, sometimes they'll, my mom used to have a horrible phrase, but it's very true. Bitches self-destruct and just get out of the way. Sometimes you have to just let them burn themselves down. We've all been in these environments where there's that one person. I know we just saw, we're in a shared community here, and there was an accountant not doing right things and someone outed her. And I think that has probably killed her entire business because it was publicly stated, it was warned about all of the things. And as we talk about, we said, one of the things we were talking about was PR, right? Like there's also, I think, public responsibility to, I feel it's interesting. I don't think that we should be like whistleblowers and like just get online and out somebody that did us wrong, because people are going to do you wrong. But when there's what's the word, girls, like cyclical effect, or like when they start doing it to multiple people,
continued behavior. Yeah,
continued behavior, exactly. Then it can kind of get into some things, but yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
I was going to say, and there is with things like this, the appropriate avenues to take, right? Like, is it bad enough that you need to get an attorney? Granted, something that's $1,500, not really. Had you spent $10,000? Yes. Like those kinds of things. But then when you get to the point of reviewing them, like there's this fine line between giving a bad review and defamation.
Amen.
Which is a for sure legal thing. I mean, Johnny Depp just went through all of that. Like if we're going to talk about pop culture, like defamation's for sure a legal thing. It is hard to prove, but they can bring a lawsuit against you if they feel that they have been, which sometimes is worse PR, right? Like, so is it really worth it? But I do think that there are certain things you can do, particularly if it's, I'm kind of with you. If $1,500, like I'm going to write it off, move on, find somebody that's actually going to work for me. If somebody asks me how my experience was, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to say,
right,
I didn't have a great experience, and kind of like let them keep their imagination to themselves. But, when you get into like, I actually worked for a software company. We had hired a guy to do SEO. He did not deliver. He was the worst vendor I've ever worked with. And he charged us, I believe by the time we were all said and done, I think we spent like $10,000 or $12,000 on him. And our CEO at the time, like as the marketing director and our director of operations, my friend Ellen, both went to the owner and was like, this is not right. And he was like, not worrying about it. Like, it's not worth it. Even at $10,000, he's like, it's not worth it I'm just going to move on and find somebody else that can actually do it. So, sometimes it's not worth it, but it happens all the time. I found out later from another colleague of mine that has also used them, didn't actually use him, actually just talked to him in a consultation about maybe using him. And he wanted to charge him $10,000.
Yeah, bullshit.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you say all that, because I was thinking as both of you were talking, and I was like, okay, I always try to step back and go, how do I fix the problem, right? And then of course that's my OBM side and my VA side. Like, how do I get ahead of that happening again? And now for other people. So maybe people listening, based off your guys' experiences, what would be some tactics before they enter into a relationship with a vendor such as SEO or website? So what I'm thinking would be, it's $10,000. I'm going to pay you $1,000 or something like that first, right. Or I'm just throwing something out there. Yeah. But are there some checklist items that you would tell someone to say, hey, if you're looking to hire this person for SEO website or anything like that, check these resources, check their history here. Like, is there anything we could offer people that?
Yeah. How do we vet them?
Right. Yes. Thank you. How could we vet?
Yeah. Ashley, I know you vet a lot of people. So this is a good question for you.
I'm like queen of judgment and vetting and instinct. I have to be honest, this is our talk show for a reason. It's very triggering for me, this topic. Both of you know the lawsuit I went through, and I kind of want to be like, somebody wink at me. Like, should I talk about this? Cause this is like a thing. But I will say, I don't know. I don't think it's right in my head of like, I don't think it's right to go down that rabbit hole, but let's just say your girl, in my opinion, has had the ultimate sacrifice of being screwed. And I took it all the way to like federal investigation level. Okay. So I've been down this road. And so I think I have a very extreme, I hope it's extreme, although I found out how not really extreme it is for many people. I think the first thing I would say is, and this sounds so simple, but there's a couple of things. Number one, trust, but verify. Anytime you're doing things more than, I don't know, in my opinion, $3,000. Anytime it's more than $3,000, because $3,000, you can kind of take a hit and be like, fuck. But above that, that's different business. In my cases, this was hundreds of thousands of dollars that was being talked about. So like, it was obviously a big thing, but even at $1,200, like this isn't a better than or worse than, it's just a thing. So trust and verify. So like, the first time you get that inkling that something might be wrong, like ask a friend, ask another business owner, ask to a client that they've worked with or something, just verify, like, is this the typical experience I should be getting? I'm not quite sure. Or, one of the reasons I actually got into branding was I had a friend at the time who was hiring a marketing agency, and she ran the contract by me. And she was like, does the scope of work and the deliverables match what the investment is? And I looked at it, and there were a few things I added in just because I knew it was like easy deliverables that would fit in. Something to go back to that we talk about is like all of the file types, right? Like those itty bitty things, but trust and verify. That would be number one. Number two would be your gut instinct. I'm going to ask you both a very serious question, but I think it applies to everyone. We're often told that, oh, you're a know-it-all. Oh, you think you're always right, yada, yada, yada. But 90% of the time we are right because our gut said like, this didn't feel right, or this was too easy, or it just, I don't know, something felt wrong. Trust your gut on these things. And then I would say, to vet a vendor, I like to ask, oh my God, I have such a questionnaire that I go down the list of things, but ask them, what does success look like for them? define success in the beginning so that everybody understands it, because a half-ass website might be their definition of success. You don't know. Ask them things like loyalty. How do you define loyalty? That's a big one, because that's more like when you're hiring your team people or your subcontractors. Loyalty is big. Like if you hear so-and-so did wrong, don't show up to their networking event. Hashtag that happened to me. I was having an issue with somebody, and the person that I was vetting literally was like, oh, I didn't see that there was anything wrong with that. There's something wrong with that. Asking things like, tell me the time, like, normal, how do you do this? Sorry, guys, I'm under the weather here, but like normal, like, when you go for a job interview questions, like, what does success look like for you? What is your organizational system? How do you communicate with me? What should I expect? What's the process ahead? How do they map it out? Like one thing I'm very judgy on, now I'm going to be very honest about this. When you get on a call with a new person you've hired, how do they conduct that first call? Is there an agenda? Do they walk you through? Do they onboard you? Or are they kind of like, hi, Leilani, how are you? Did you have a nice week? Like, we're here to do
a full 5 minutes warming you up, and then I jump into it.
Yeah, amen. And like, I don't mind small talk, but like there should be an agenda. They should have a proven process. They should kind of have like a start, middle, end of the way that they do things. Another one that I like to ask is, trying to think, sorry. I don't know. I'm babbling. Take over, people.
Okay. I have a couple of things. So one, I think we've talked about this before, is I feel it is very important for all of us to know at least the basics of how to do things, right? So I've talked about this like with Facebook ads. Nobody wants to do them. The back end is sort of complicated, but you need to know at least enough on how to use it to direct your vendor to get what you want, right? Like knowing how those systems work in the back end, just a basic knowledge of them helps you flag, are they doing what they're supposed to be doing, or are they feeding me a line of bullshit, right? So, and I don't want people to think they have to be an expert in everything, because I don't believe that at all. Like you need to stay in your zone of genius, but you do at least to know a little bit of what that thing is so that you can direct them as to what you want. The other thing that I always look for in a really good vendor, because I've worked with larger companies, is any Fortune 500, when they put out a request for proposal and you send a formal proposal and you get the contract, there is a statement of work, there's a master services agreement, and there's probably a non-disclosure and a confidentiality agreement. So like really in the process of working with people, do they actually have documents that are binding that, what's the scope of work? What are the deliverables? What are the timeline? Like if a company has taken the time to put that in their process of like winning a job, they've done this before. Like this is something they've gone through. They're a professional company. They've been doing this for a while. They know what they're doing. So really kind of thinking about, are they really asking me for a contract? Like, are we really mapping out the scope of work as to what I want? Whereas I find with freelancers, a lot of times they just get on a call and we talk about it, and it's a verbal agreement, which
don't do it.
Still, like, I mean, if it were like one of the three of us, yeah, that's totally fine. I know you guys.
Contract, you're still getting all of that from us. Yeah. So like if we were to put together a proposal for you, it's going to have a general overall, okay, these are the prices. And then if you're like, oh, great, I like that idea, you're getting a full contract. That's going to have all of the things you stated with the scope of work and all of that before we do any work together.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you get a vendor that is just like let's have a call and a handshake and an email, it's not like, I really like it. I mean, Ashley and I have worked on this, on even like your process. We've talked about like, how do we get a statement of work? How do we like turn a proposal into that statement of work? How do we actually make these contracts work? So I think that working with vendors that do that within their onboarding process is definitely somebody then you can trust. Like they know what they're doing. They've been doing it for a while.
That's a really good point especially because throughout COVID, and I am a baby from COVID, right? My business is baby from COVID. I feel like there's lots of people that were in that same boat and created these businesses. And it'll be interesting to see how many last, right? But it also really made the consumer need to be more aware and trust and verify, as Ashley says. But if we trust and verify, I always try to think of, okay, what am I verifying for the work? And I love what you said, Ronnie, is at least we need to know the basics of what we're asking someone to do for us so that we can understand what they're telling us they're going to do, right?
Exactly.
Because if someone says, oh, I want this social marketing done and I need Facebook ads, and you say, great, I'm going to charge you $2,000 a month, and that doesn't include the cost of ads, that person might not know what that means exactly. Right. So at least knowing the basics of what you're asking, I think that's super smart.
Yeah.
I was also sitting here scanning all my vendor intakes, like what I ask and things, and I can't find where I used to ask the like ethical, moral questions, but I definitely ask the ethical, moral questions when I'm partnering with people. But it was like background, process, service, price, ideal referrals, that kind of thing. And I just want to really validate also and back up what Ronnie said about contracts. Everything should be in writing from day one. I'm really trying not to be triggered by this conversation, but I'm so bloody triggered. And all I want to say is words don't win in court, paper does. So if you start getting these hints or these inklings or whatever, stop all communication verbally and get it in writing, in email, in text, in screenshots. Literally, that shit will save your life. It saved mine. But those are vital things. I also think synergy is a big part of it too. Like, how well do you work? How well do you communicate? Do you feel like you're being dumbed down by the person? Like, oh, well, you don't know what SEO is. Let me tell it to you. And like dumbed down by them, or educated by them. That's another thing that I really love about vendors. You know, that like kind of, if I am outside of my depth, how well do they break down complex for me to understand? That's another thing too, because like Ronnie said, you need to know enough, but not all of it. But then even the parts that you do know can be very complicated, and this can be anything from buying property to investments to, you know, building out elements of your business, or even bookkeepers can talk over our heads sometimes, and just having the balls to say, like, I don't know what that means. Like, what is this word, or what is that, or is there a word for this? And like learning the vernacular of that part, because that's another element too, is just, you know, don't blindly throw money at shit and expect something to come out of it. Like, I promise you, it doesn't work like that.
I think I'm just so trusting in general, and I find I'm not the only one, right? As I talk to people about their experiences, I realize, oh yeah, you're right. I should have asked additional questions, and you know, we're bonding now over this trauma, so to speak, you know. And so I'm glad I hope I didn't derail the conversation too much, but I'm glad we brought this up, because it's just such a real business concern today. And I know that people who come to me and ask for quotes, they sit down and take up my meeting links because they want to get to know what I do and how we work. They're also on edge, right? They've worked through this with somebody else before, and they've possibly been burned, or they don't understand. So when I come and I go, my process might seem like a lot, right? Like with me, people have constant contact with me. You've got Slack, you've got, you know, the emails, you've got your portal, you've got all these things. And people are like, wow, I didn't know VAs offered all that. They should. They're not in your office. So those are things that I can see from my business industry, but I don't build websites. So and that seems to be a big one. So I'm always like, what do I ask? What should be the norm that I'm expecting from someone who's offering? By the way, you can have someone just build a website. You can have someone build a website and do SEO. You can have someone do things called like backlinks, which I've only heard of, and I don't know what those are. You know, those are all these things that people say. And like you said, Ashley, they don't mean to talk over you, but they're saying these words. You're like,
yeah, and it's link back. Just by the way, link back, not backlinks. It's link back.
No. Well, it can be either way. I call them, I call them backlinks too. Yeah, I call them backlinks. But so I also am very weary of vendors that do everything.
Amen. Ooh, that was a good one right there.
Yeah. So I find this in the marketing realm quite often, because when you talk about marketing, like there's so many things to it, you know, there's websites, there's Facebook ads, there's Google ads, there's, you know, keyword PR, like there's all these like disciplines within this big, you know, marketing umbrella. And so, you know, sure, you can go to an agency, but that might offer a lot of stuff, but somebody on the team is specialized in each one of these things, because that's what an agency does. But if you go to a freelancer and they're like, yeah, I can design and I can build and I can do the SEO and all of it, I'm always a little weary. I'm like, I feel like you might not have advanced knowledge in this one thing because you know a little bit about everything.
Yeah, so that's such a good point. Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah, exactly. So I get a little weary on that, which is also why I have really zoned in on, I'm a strategic marketing consultant. Like, I'm not going to do it for you. You know, I can talk to you about a lot of these things, and I'm very strategic in the planning piece of it. And that's my zone of genius. So I'm like honed in on that. But you know, I've worked with web guys are really big on this. Like, this is kind of that area where they tend to do that a lot is, oh yeah, I can do SEO. Oh yeah, I can do the development. Oh yeah, I can design it. And really in that realm, particularly with SEO, because it's so
that's a specialty.
Science. Yeah, it's kind of, well, and Google is so complicated and it's going to change in 6 months, if not in 6 weeks. Like, so it really takes somebody that really specializes in that. That's my one really big one is SEO. That, you know, if you tell me you're everything and SEO, then I get a little weary. But yeah, I'm leery when people, if it's not a straight up agency kind of model, I get really leery about people that can do everything. I can do it all. Yeah, I can do that.
I love this conversation, and I can't wait till you guys take the notes on it, because I'm going to take this and repurpose it, just because it's such a conversation that I have with so many people about what do we look for, what are we doing, and especially I think that's a great information for businesses today is you can't be a specialist in everything. And we're not meant to be, right? There's only so many hours in a day. So that's the beauty of the referral partner of, okay, I have a referral partner who specializes in SEO only, and we can definitely partner with them, but
takes a team.
You know, doesn't necessarily mean I'm doing it.
Yeah, you know, it really does. Like they say this about raising babies, it takes a village. Well, your business is a baby. It's going to take a village there too. And the quick, cheap fix is going to get you shit results. Like, I'm sorry. Like, there are some things that, you know, there are some things that you
get what you pay for.
Yes. And there's things that are cheaper and things that you need to invest in, and, you know, across the board. And I heard you finally, which I'm sorry, it's my brain today, but I heard you finally of like, how do you qualify a website person? So here's my thing, because I was doing this week, actually. This week, I have a client who has a specialty in Squarespace, which I don't have a go-to vendor for Squarespace. So I think this is actually perfect now that my brain's starting to work. What I did was I made a post of like looking for Squarespace based website developers. And I also wanted Wix, because my team and we specialize with WordPress. So the first thing I would recommend looking for is the platform you want this thing built out on. It's personal preference. All of you go back to our original episode where we break down websites. By the way, Leilani, there was an entire website where entire episode where we broke down websites. So definitely look at that. But on top of that now, so you're going to know the platform that you want this thing built on. So you're going to need a specialist for that. Then I look at designer developer. Now, this is a little bit like this could be one person, but it's usually more like a 60-40 person. So this could be like designer developer. The designer part of this person is how they're going to make the website aesthetically look, feel, vibe, and is user friendly, or what is traditionally called user experience. That's their design side. Like, what's their creative eye? How do they really tailor it to you and customize it? The developer side is the person on the back end doing the coding and the customizations and the SEO stuff. Like coders and developers and SEO people, I could see being the same because it's kind of like the same level of geek. Excuse my French, but like if you can geek out on developing and coding, you can geek out on SEO. Like that's the same geek person. I could see that being one person. A designer saying that they do SEO, I've got, I don't think so. Like you're going to know top level things, but I have a feeling you're going to work with a developer. So they're kind of two different people. Then I look at what the offer is. So often they'll offer, you know, 2 mock-ups, 2 base templates that you kind of get the vibe of what you want, and then they build it out. And often they'll have set packages like 1 landing page, 3 to 5 page website, or fully customized website. That means how many pages you get on the site. Look at how much they use the template. Every website uses a template. A template is kind of that base skeleton DNA to build it out. But how much do they customize on top of that? Because that's also going to give you the generic website versus the iconic website variants. Then you want to look at revisions. How many revisions are you given? You know, sometimes these little shits will say like 3 revisions. Dude, no. I don't like that, because you need to have, in my opinion, communication back and forth getting you through revisions, because there's going to be a tweak, or once you see something, you're like, oh my God, I hate that. I needed this. Like maintenance behind the site is another big one that we just decided on. Like I met with 2 distinct Squarespace people this week. One offered maintenance, the other one did not. Now, maintenance is, the one was like, I'll build the site, then it's on you to take care of it. And she does a 2-hour training, which I thought was really interesting and good, about Squarespace and how to maintenance it and how to do it yourself, which awesome. That's empowering. I love that. The other one offers a maintenance package, which is done for you maintenance. So you want to change a page, you want to change a title, you want to change a price, whatever, that's maintenance. So a lot of people buy a website thinking it's like a thing that you buy and it's sold and it's done. These are living entities. They need maintenance. They need ongoing support. They need updates. They need plugins to be just updated, you know? That's a thing. Sorry, that was a little technical, but like, they need to take their vitamins, basically.
Oil changes. It's fine.
No, that's exactly. They do need oil changes. So that's something to pay attention to. And then as far as SEO goes, you know, I got to be honest, it is such a specialty that shout out to Chris. Chris is my go-to specialist of SEO. She is customer relations for an entire agency called SEO Works, and it's WORKZ. We can put this in the show notes. She's a badass because she got burned so many times on the ways not to do it, that their company is all about the ways to do it. They give free, I think, assessments and audits and reviews, and tells you like what you need and what you don't. And she's so giving of information. She's absolutely fabulous. So knowing people like that, but again, like Ronnie said, these can't all be one people. And the designer developer, like for myself, for example, I would say I'm an 80-20. I'm 80% designer, 20% developer. Like I can get in there and definitely build out some shit, but not like my designer developers can. Like Jason is a ninja. Like, but also, and sorry, Jason, if you ever watch this, he's not a designer. Like that boy can code like nobody's business. But when it comes up to like he's good, but I would put him at like 90% developer, 20% designer. He's damn good. Like I love him, and he does come up with some great alternatives. Like often I'll give him like, hey, I found this on this website, I want one. And he'll be like, okay, here's what I was able to do with a little bit of refinement to work for you. Great. But yeah, that it's very templated when he tries to design. I'm sorry, it's just it's true. Like I love him, I do, but
he has that zone of genius of what he does really well in, right, and what you utilize him for. So I absolutely love this. I almost think like putting together a checklist for people with this is awesome. This would be such a good information for people to go, okay, I'm wanting to redo this. And even with you actually, with what you do with people, I've begun my process with you, and it's very detailed, which I absolutely love. This could be definitely an insert of like, okay, here's my A team, but if this isn't what you're doing, these are what you should look at to consider when you
basically you want me to give away my website prep sheet. I will do that. You know what, I'll commit to that. I'll put that on there. I'll do that
in the package that we are going through as we rebrand. I think that's a good value to give to the clients that you have.
I have like, one.
Hey, okay, see,
we're just not there yet. I actually have a website prep, a logo prep, and a photo shoot prep of what it looks like to go in, how to vet these people, and what you need. I typically don't give them out. I did just now verbally commit to the website one. I won't tell, call me, we'll do a strategy call and I'll give you one of these things. But yeah, it was like how to prep to build a logo if you don't have the money to invest in something higher, then like how to get the ultimate value out of, say, a Fiverr person or a lower price point to get the iconic details out. The other thing that this can happen on, and I've been very blessed to not see a lot of it, but it can happen, is photography. You'll get like a $3,000 to $5,000 brand photo shoot package, and that shit is dumb. Very staged, very not you is what I want to say. And it's just bad lighting, bad all these things. So my photographer, Kelly Mooney, and I worked on one too of how to prep for a photo shoot, what to wear, how to pick your locations, how to prep for the shoot, how to pose, all the things. So yeah, we definitely have that.
Actually, now that it just reminded me of something, another great website builder will help you with the photos you pick. Because I have worked with people that they just take what you have and you didn't even know they weren't high resolution until after you had, your site put together and you're like, why does this look like crap? Or someone else pulls it out and I'm just like, oh, I didn't even know. They just took it and put it there. Or they just took what I had and, they didn't really do it. I mean, and I might be asking for too much in that sense.
No, also. You're not. You're just what you are asking for though is a higher price point because there's higher hands on deck at this point. So yeah, anybody can get any level of this, right? You can go to Fiverr, get a logo. You could go to me and get a logo. You could go to other companies, get a logo. It just depends. But what you're asking for is also when they do photo selection or I just saw it the other day, the stock photography selection. It's where they'll like go and select stock photography that's on brand for you and has the right vibe. I do that anyways because I'm like, I don't know, all this stuff, it's like, that's just what I do. So it's like these people that don't, I'm like, what kind of crap are you producing? Like, I can't imagine not. Yeah.
Well, and with photographers, like I find I've worked with a ton of photographers who are excellent photographers.
Yeah.
But they're not brand or marketing photographers. And I then have to go use a photo on a website. And while it's a great photo, I can't put any text anywhere. There's no negative space for me to actually like put marketing and or the lighting is always this high contrast between light and dark. So no logo looks right over top of it because someplace you're not going to be able to see it.
Like, so, I love your background, but that would be a horrible background to work with. Like it looks beautiful, but if we tried to put something dark on it, half of it's going to fade. And if we put something light on it, half of it's going to fade. So that's a perfect background for you, by the way. I do love it today. I would absolutely hate that photo. I'd be like, no.
Yeah, no, me too. Yeah, me too. But I also get like photographers that always want to be like in the middle like this. When I actually on a website, I want it to be like this.
Negative space.
Yeah, I want space over here because a logo goes here or the navigation goes here or a CTA and a button goes there. Like there's some practical things that portrait photographers who are excellent, beautiful photographers don't get.
And also the narrative behind the story. So the staging and the props that you take, they should be things that are like from your desk, not things that, you've never seen before in your life. Like, oh, that's the desk I work at, like, I don't know. I always think that that's kind of funny when people are like seen in a desk that then they really only work at coffee shops. Like what? Because it's also false marketing. I said it. It's false marketing. So it's like a big deal. Like take your shit to set. Like, and I'm not saying your desk has to be there, but like if you have a certain laptop that you work from or whatever it is, these are those details that they need to pick up on. And I think having a narrative behind the photos, like this is me working, this is on a client call, this is me thinking, this is me, like what poses do you need? It's great. Like Kelly Mooney and I have the funniest thing that we say. I hope it's okay to say it out loud, but like a beautiful girl in an ugly outfit is still a beautiful girl in an ugly outfit. Like it doesn't matter. It's like you need to have the full narration there. You need to have the right outfit for the right environment, for the right photo that you're taking, and they don't often think like that. And so that's also where I find a lot of people do this thing. Oh, but I have a friend that's a photographer and they're going to take my photos. They said it's going to be great, and I'm like, fuck me, this is going to be shit. So then I have to not only deliver but train the photographer. That's like double my effort, just so that you could get it at the price point you wanted. And it's like, what's that thing? Like, you guys cook. Okay. So it's like using a substitute that isn't good enough to substitute the original thing, right? Like maybe there's like
starch that thickens the sauce, but it's not like butter and maybe flour that creamy.
Yeah. Like when people replace sugar with bananas.
Oh yeah. That one would have been good too.
Yeah. I was going to say Splenda. I've heard of that one.
And this the little thing about me is I passionately hate bananas. So do not feed me. When I see you guys, do not give me bananas or I will punch you in the throat.
Okay. No bananas.
No bananas, Ronnie, no bananas.
But yeah, so these substitutes, and it's like I get it, but like I even had our person Leilani, who you kind of, anyways, our person. It was her son was building her website, and I was like, great. Perfect. Like,
yeah. There's going to be a lot of revisions.
Yeah.
And,
not even that. It's not, I don't even want to be on it because like, it's actually, you're asking me to mentor your person to be the person that they said they were going to be, to just barely get the results. And then there might be things that I need them capable of doing that they're not capable of doing. Like, I
mean, it's out of scope.
Yeah, it's like working with a hand mix, like a wooden spoon versus a convection
mixer. Yeah, stand mixer. Yeah.
Really good point that you say that though, because for me, I try to set super clear boundaries, right, with my clients. And I was like, this is what is capable. This is what we want. This is the picture we want. But based off with the decisions you've made, this is what's going to be available. And then we're missing this.
Yeah.
So we're going to need to find someone else to do this, or, you're paying me to do this. And that's not my zone of genius either, So those are the type of things that I try to let people know, because the same thing happened. I had a client who was like, I need you to update all of this stuff and then help me over here on my website. And I go, well, this is my lane and this is what I have everything to. I can't touch your website. So, and I could, but I would mess it up. Like, that's just not, I don't feel comfortable, right? That's not who I am. So I had to put that, and I felt like I had the conversation. Sometimes people just don't hear us when we speak either. So we have to be clear and reiterate. So I had to like lay it out bullet point by bullet point in the email. And that way, again, it's in writing and I put it out there. But I think that sometimes people hear what they want to hear, especially when they're bringing on vendors. I can understand that. But yeah, being clear about what we can take on and what we can't take on is super important.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, clients, they're gonna try and scope creep every time. Like it just, this is the nature of it. Like, this is who we are as people. Like, as of particularly for VAs, like I'm sure this happens a lot with VAs, like because you kind of are like, yeah, we can kind of handle most anything, right? Mm-hmm. So, it's very easy for that client to scope creep and be like, well, you handle everything. Of course you can update the website, right? But in actuality, really your job is maybe just to coordinate with the website developer and be the communication person. Like you're an assistant, not the developer, So like,
exactly. No, that is perfectly well said, because it's also something I'm building out with Ashley eventually, is the differences between what a VA should be doing, could be doing, and what my VAs do and what they can't do. Right. I was just talking to somebody, another client, who was like, what part of social media do your VAs help with? Because I have a team and she has a specific VA. And I was like, you have additional hours. What projects can we take on for you? I monitor do all those things. Another conversation. And so I sat with her and I said, okay, we can do these 3 things. And that's what your VA is capable of doing. If you want anything outside of that, marketing strategy, blah, blah, all the other stuff, post creation, this is who I would recommend. This is what I would do, right? Because this is not included in the package. And I think that has to be really clear with clients in general, because like you said, a VA, EA, OBM, they're just like, oh, you just dabble in everything. Then you're going to get crap work. And then you end up with being like, a VA is really hard to keep, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
This is
you don't
why
want to
you
be
need a statement of work.
Yeah. And
right.
like, I have an easy way of saying this. Don't be everything for everyone. Be you for the right few, and be real clear on what you are. Like these 3 things, And
Can you make a bumper sticker of that? I like that saying.
Yeah, I say it all the time. Be you for the right few. Wait, shit, I'm sick. It's don't be everything for everyone. Don't be everything for everyone. Be you for the right few.
Yes.
We'll get that right in the show notes, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I am heavily made up. I put on perfume to feel better, but oh guys, I am not my peak today. So thank you for being nice to me. Yeah. Okay. So that's my alarm. Okay.
Well, and the only other thing I would say too, to add to this conversation, I'll come back to this, a quick one. The other thing is you need to have a group of business besties that you can come to with these kinds of questions and be like, hey, I need a CEO moment. Can we talk about this? Like, what would you guys do? Like, and really have a tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they're hard to find, but it's good to find and to even vet those relationships of who can you be fully open and honest with, because that's another thing, is watch where you put your stuff. Only put your stuff with people that can be trusted with it, because some people will use it against you or do other crazy shit. 2 final thoughts I had is also record your calls with your clients, or even when you're onboarding people, because that again, I love scope creep when they're like, now I think I want to do this. And I go back and replay the meeting that they gave me final approval. Damn, girls. And then the other thing too is with VAs and EAs, you need to vet them the same way you would vet a website developer. Are they working on the systems you work with? Like, just because they do Asana doesn't mean they do Airtable. You need somebody that does Airtable. And then do they offer the tasks that you need unloaded? And don't go to them saying like, I think somebody said I need a VA. Can I have you? Like, you don't, again, you're going to get screwed because you don't even know enough of what you need to delegate to be able to figure that out. And that's why Leilani and I are creating this like top 10 things that anybody can delegate immediately, just so that you can like get a base started knowledge of what they can do for you. But again, VAs that, they say they're VAs, that they can do social media, that they can do marketing newsletter campaigns, that they can do all of this. That's an everybody right there. And there are generalists. Like, we all have a general practitioner we see for our medical issues, but then eventually we go to the ear, nose, and throat person, or eventually we go to the intestinal people, or whoever we're going to that's the specialist. So there is going to be an in the door person, but get who you need to do the jobs that you have. That's a big deal.
Yeah. That's especially what I say for people who come to me for newsletters. Because I say, am I just emailing your newsletter that you created, that you have the brand strategy behind? Great, I can do that. But I am not creating that, because that's not who I am, but I have a resource for you if you need it, right? Yeah. I'm not going to set up the strategy behind it for you. That's not a VA's position. Virtual assistant is to virtually assist you in your business. And like you said, Ronnie, assist the project happening. Yeah. Right. So
communication.
A lot of times when I talk to people, I'm like, do you need a VA or do you need an OBM? Do you need an online business manager? There are differences that they take on. So I thank you so much for this conversation today, gals. It was so front of mind for me that I just needed people that I trusted to be like, okay, I'm hearing this a lot from other people. It happened to me. What are steps we can take to help guard ourselves and others in these industries? And especially as freelancing jobs grow and people start creating and becoming entrepreneurs, and they keep saying they can take on more. What are we looking for? I love the agency model versus the wearing all the hats. So I really appreciate that. Thanks. I think it's going to be very helpful for people when they watch the replay.
And I want to validate you. You were taken. Like, you got like, sometimes you're like, was I really? Like, maybe it wasn't that bad. Like, I want you to know it was bad. It shouldn't have been done like that. And you were taken advantage of. Like, that's shit. And I'm sorry for that.
Thank you. I appreciate feeling validated, because a lot of times I'm like, oh, that was a stupid thing I did. What I love is that I came to you and I was like, hey, I got nothing from this person. I paid him $1,500. When I went back to the person and I was like, all right, I want a refund because we didn't do anything. Every meeting almost got rescheduled. We never really talked about anything. You never even created anything for me that I got to see. They sent me their contract that just highlighted no refunds. And I was like, I guess I should have read that better. But
no. Even that though, you could take that to court. So here's a couple other things. Number one, small business. Wait, what am I thinking?
Small claims court.
Small
claims courts
can go up to $10,000. Now, when I say that, I mean $9,999 because I've done this shit. If it is $1 more, if it's $10,001, you can't take it to small claims. So keep your numbers under 10K. 10K, because then you can go to small claims. Now, here's a fun thing. Had you documented this like a neurotic person like I am, you document the first time you're supposed to call, how many times they rescheduled on you, and you have the contract that says this no refund thing, but you can show there's no website that exists or anything, like there's nothing, even if it was halfway completed and you showed screenshots or evidence of that, you could put a case together for yourself. Absolutely. So I think number one,
email trail. So maybe. No.
Yeah, always have a paper trail, always track these people, especially when you get that first gut hit. I just did it actually with a therapist. I canned mine. It's just, there was like red flag. I told my person, Kathleen, we all know Kathleen. I was like, does this seem? And she's like, yep, that's that. And I was like, great, done, out of it. And so like I've learned really quick now to do all of this stuff. But I think just in conclusion, it's number one, you were taken advantage of, and that's shit. And I'm sorry. And I'm so excited to be a part of like your support team now that can do it right for you, so that you get the results that you were deserved in the beginning. Number two is have your vetting questions, know how to vet somebody. Number three is have a small business attorney, ladies and gentlemen. They are expensive as fuck, and the best investment you're going to have. Like, it's just important. Have your contracts in place, know that part. And also like do all the things that we said today, but trust your gut when things are right or when they're wrong, and watch yourself, on defamation, on what's the character one, like that was a slip, not that one. What was the other one? Okay, the slander. Final answer. Yeah. Watch yourself on slander claims. Like, you running around saying all this shit, they can sue you for slander or defamation. Kind of same thing but different. And meaning different is like slander's like the baby of defamation. Like, let's be honest here. So watch yourself on that, but have a community, have people that, you ask, have you worked with this person? What do you know of this person? And my rule of thumb is don't run around doing gossip or trying to tear somebody down. Work with what you have. If somebody asks you what your experience was, as you said, be honest, tell them, hey, it wasn't the best thing, but don't like make it a mission to go out there and, whatever. Just think that is a dangerous road to go down. Deal with the eggs that are in your basket, what you can deal with, and just keep it not to yourself, but what was your experience? Oh, I didn't have a positive experience with that person. I wouldn't recommend moving forward with that, but it's up to you in the end.
Yeah. And just something to note, you talked about like having a small business attorney. Yes, it is expensive, but the one investment that is definitely worth it, because I get so many people where I'm like, okay, you need a privacy policy on your website and a terms of service on your website. Like, these are things you have to have on your site because they are becoming, privacy issues, particularly in Europe with GDPR, all of that kind of stuff. And I get so many small business owners that are like, I'll go find a template.
Oh God, no.
And I get them all the time, and they're like, I found this on the internet and I just, changed what I need to. And I was like, I'm not an attorney, but I know tell you, you need an attorney to look at this. Like this, this is how that stuff works. So like, if you can't afford anybody else,
if
you can't afford anybody else, you need a small business attorney and a good accountant.
Bookkeeper. Yep.
bookkeeper, accountant, and a small business attorney. Everything else you can kind of figure out yourself until you get the funds to find a branding person or a business strategist or even a website person. You can hobble that together if you're on a limited budget, but at least get an attorney.
Yeah.
An accountant.
Can I also say one really great resource that is across the globe, I believe, but also at least in the continental US, is the Small Business Development Center. They will have, if you need a template to get started because you can't afford any of this stuff, then at least go to them because they have the most sound base for you to start with. So if you do get a template and it doesn't come from the Small Business Development Center or SCORE, and I don't know what that acronym stands for, but SCORE, those two, SBDC or SCORE, if it comes from anywhere else, don't use it. Like you can use their templates, that's allowed. But I know I want to give a massive shout out to Alexandra Devendra of Aligned Law. She is my small business attorney. She's helping me currently with my trademark and also moving my business entity from Oregon to Illinois. Absolutely incredible. She goes above and beyond, and I have no worry, hesitation, or fear at all that my stuff is sound and good. I have my contract with my master contract, my service agreement, my vendor contracts, and I think we did something else, but all of them are done by her, and it was the best thing I've ever done. Ronnie, do you have a small business attorney you'd shout out?
Not anybody that I would shout out.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. But we'll definitely put her information in there too, because she is legit. And she's also well connected to that. If not in the state of Oregon specifically, then you need to find one in your state. But that's another huge person to have for sure. So yeah.
Good. Yeah, I just want to say to piggyback on Ronnie, what you said earlier of just having your tribe, because what I didn't get to finish is that when I asked for this refund for this gal, she's like, we don't offer refunds, but we can move this money to doing something else that we do that we could help you with. And I go, okay, great. What is it? She's like, we'll help do your Google My Business page. And so I came to my tribe, which was Ashley. And I said, does this make sense? $1,500 for this? She's like, Leilani, we can do that in 10 minutes, which I already knew how to do. And I already had it set up. But I thought maybe there was something more that they were going to do to this Google My Business page that I didn't already do, that I didn't know about. And she's like, no, there's nothing else there. I was like, oh, okay. Well, if had I just said, yes, okay, great, you could do that, and I didn't have a tribe to bounce that off of to make sure that made sense, I think that goes back to there's no stupid questions in business, right? Just ask the questions.
The stupid question is not asking.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, just always have people you trust. And they'll tell you like, and you know what, if you don't, come to us.
Yeah, we're here. Hello, we're here for you every Thursday. Why not you come to us? Like, also, we've had at least 2 or 3 viewers this whole time. Please put your comments and questions in. Maybe we pick a question that you have and we dedicate a whole episode to it, or bring you on the hotline with all of us, or as your own hot seat. Like, we're here to support you in this way. And one thing I also know I'm pretty proud of myself on this is that I don't have all of the answers. And my favorite answer sometimes is saying, I don't know. Let me look into that. Because what I do have is I do have a network behind me, and I am not one of these, generalists of all things. I have an agency. I have many people that help me support to bring my projects to life, and I could not do it without them. So also shout out to my A team, to my vendor list, to you two, to Kathleen, to Umwa, to Shamika, everybody, Shauna, everybody, Michael, everybody that I work with. I think the other reason that I'm quote unquote an investment and I'm not cheap is because you don't just get me, you get this, all the people that back me. And so when I don't know something for you, I'll take it to Ronnie and be like, hey, is this a thing? Can you verify that? Or we'll go over to Chris with SEO. Hey, is this a thing? No, she's getting screwed. Great. I'll send her your way. Or hey, does this or whatever. And I think it takes time. That's one thing. This isn't going to be overnight. It's taken me 10 years to build the network I have, but that network is also, I think, what allows me to do the caliber work that I do. And why I also sometimes don't want to own the results that I have, because it's not me that did it. It was a team effort that did it, So that's a big thing. But as we wrap up here, final thoughts, questions or topics for next time, emotional outbursts, or donation of Theraflu to me.
Just, it's interesting because I know you don't feel good, but this morning I woke up with this headache and a little bit of a sore throat. And I'm like, did she give it to me? Because I haven't seen her in person. And like, can that happen?
I know I may have given you ascension sickness because both of us have been doing some pretty good quantum leaping. But yeah, Leilani, when she first came on, was like, do you have COVID? And I was like, I wish I'd have a reason to have COVID because then I would have seen people. I haven't seen people. I haven't left my house. Like, this is straight up ascension sickness. And I know it's ascension because I don't have full symptoms. So like, I'm a little bit congested, but I don't even have the gratification of a runny nose. I like definitely like, my ears are just kind of not clogged, but like I can't, I don't know. And what's interesting with ascension sickness, and we've done an episode on this, right? Haven't we done it?
We have not.
Oh shit. Well, that'll have to be next time. Real short. I'm going to do this really short because I'm the one that has to. I've never even
heard of ascension sickness, by the way.
What? Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. This is we'll go over time for this because this is worth it, and I'll get my Go-Gurts later or something. Okay, so ascension sickness. Everyone needs to know this. In business and life, if you are doing personal development work of any kind, you're working with a therapist, you have a business coach, you're bettering yourself, you're working on your relationships, anything in life, there's something that comes called ascension sickness, where basically you're entering a new level of being, of your identity, of how you navigate the world, of how you think. And ascension sickness mimics things like altitude sickness. Have you ever gone to like high mountains and you're really dehydrated? You just kind of are out of it a little bit. Your ears might pop, a bunch of things. So it's like ascension sickness. Final answer. Sorry. Elevation sickness and a cold. And the cold symptoms are like sore throat, kind of like it's closing off, headache. Yeah. The ears are kind of clogged. You got the body aches, not full fever, but fever-ish, like kind of the hot and cold thing. You might be a little sweaty, you might be a little more cool. But what's interesting about this is it's telling you signs. So some of it, if your throat is being activated, it's that you're speaking with more truth, that there's you have more voice to who you are. Sometimes you're listening to new things, sometimes you're seeing new things, or there's pressure that you need to relieve, and often it comes from these moments of deep soul work or spirit work or personal development, and it manifests like stupid colds, and you'll be like, why the freak do I have a cold? But it's really your body just acclimating to a new level of success, a new level of being, a new level of awareness, whatever you want to call it. And you actually have to treat it like a cold or altitude sickness. Extra water, extra fluids, all of the things. And I would say a big thing is if you go to the doctor and you're like, oh, I have ascension sickness, they're going to laugh you out of the office. This is not like an MD diagnostics. This is a woo diagnostics. This is in the world of woo-woo and spiritual work that this happens. And it can happen to anybody. I don't think it's contagious. I really don't. Like, I think I'm 100% sure
you are on the same wavelength doing the same work, I guess, right?
I mean, yeah,
that could happen.
That can happen.
The other thing is Ronnie and I are both in something called Mind Over Matter right now. It's a program that is literally trying to help us elevate our minds. So it makes sense. We just did this huge release ritual, and we're very mindful of our being and how we are in the world and things like that. So it makes sense why we have it. I will be honest. Mine is a little bit of superhuman ambition that kicked my ass. So just so everyone knows, I am planning a cross-country move. That's one thing. I was trying to learn how to be a first-time home buyer. I was doing 2 full year-long courses, the Mind Over Matter plus NLA plus sales school. And I had what was my other thing? I was doing something else.
We're putting those programs together.
Yeah, but shit. I have 2 90-day programs I've been building out. The complete website, the curriculum, all of the things with Ronnie's help. Obviously, I might have been doing a little too much. And it was it was actually the therapist trying to diagnose me with complex PTSD and being like, what the fuck? This is not right. And then going to Uma, who's my business coach right now. And she's like, no, honey, no. Like, you have this superhuman ambition and we need to hone it down. Like, you're doing too much. And she's like, you're done for the week. You're not allowed to do anything else. Like, we're going to get you back into normalcy. And this is a thing of being an entrepreneur. We want to do it all because we have no construct of a boss that says this or breaks. We don't take our breaks. We're trying to do it all. And so you're going to have this, you're going to have ascension sickness. And it's, in the beginning, it's kind of like, shit, now I can't do everything that I want to do. And you get like the guilt of it, but then you also get the release of it. Like, okay, I was doing too much. I need to vision check or check my goals. What all am I doing right now? What can I repurpose and like put in priority and work through? So that's what ascension sickness is. Ronnie, would you add anything else to that?
No, I will say I have been around people. So
yeah,
I could be sick. I could be sick.
I wish I was. I haven't left my house in like 2 weeks. I'm embarrassed to say that, but I haven't because I've been doing all this shit. So
I texted Ashley the other day and I was like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, why wouldn't I be okay? This was before she got sick. And I was like, I don't know, your responses are kind of short and I haven't heard from you in a while. And she's like, I have been so busy and over my head. And I was like, this makes more sense.
Yeah. I'm this person. This is my geniusness and whatever. I get into these like silos where I'm wildly productive. I mean, I just produce, but it's not sustainable and it's also not healthy. And like, I get that. I know that, but come on, there's other people out there that do this too. I'm not just outing myself, but when I get nervous, I produce and I'm moving across the country. I'm scared, y'all. Like, I've got a lot of stuff going on. And so when I can't control certain things, I control my productivity and I just keep myself busy. And that's not a good idea. Don't do that. Don't do this. This is not good. But it's funny though, because you need to have people around you that can catch you and be like, this is what Uma did. She just like laughed at me and she was like, okay, I'm not coaching you today. I'm going to tell you these 5 things, but you're done. You're done. You're going to be sick for the rest of the week. Like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I need you to just be in bed, Theraflu, like get better. Cause you just, yeah. And it's like, shit. But I'm embarrassed to say this. What time did I text you, Leilani? Like 4 last night? Right? I think it was about 3-ish, 4-ish. She sent me another message at the end of the day. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go take a nap. So I slept from 4 to 6. I woke up, I had dinner, and then I was in bed at 8 and I didn't wake up till 8 today. That's like 12 hours, 14 hours of sleep. And I'm still exhausted. Like I could sleep right in front of you right now. If you asked me, I'd be like,
what I do on vacation. I'm like, mom's in bed at 8. Like, want to hang out later?
So,
I'm like, no,
yeah.
And
I started feeling like shit probably Monday. So when you wanted to go out with friends, I was like, A, it's the beginning of the week. I'm not going out on Monday. And 2, I have been 16-hour days nonstop trying to make up for this insecurity of moving across the country. And now my back hurts. I feel like I have a fever. I am sweating through this sweatshirt. If you guys can even see my cuteness below here. And I just need to go to like the store, get some orange juice, like get some soup and just like die. But I don't want to leave us on that note. So I'm going to leave us on the note that I'm actually meeting with a final Chicago realtor, and we are going on virtual tours today of 4 different apartments. So I will be able to apply tomorrow, be approved by Monday, and finally get my ass to Chicago. So
that's amazing.
That's where we're aiming. But it's also nice because that's effort I put in this craziness that now I just get to reap the benefit of today. But don't kill yourself. There are other ways. It doesn't have to be this hard. And yeah, doing is not always the answer.
Yeah.
So I outed myself, but yeah, that's what ascension sickness is. So
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, ladies. Well, thank you for having me today and letting me join. I'll see you in a month if I don't come back before, but I always love listening into your stuff. And I'm sure I'll be here next Thursday, just typing away in the chat box.
Yeah, no, we want you here. It's great. We love having you on here. You're the besties too, so it works out. But so in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, we go live every Thursday for you at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're here for moments like this. If there's something top of mind that you want to work through, jump in, either the comments, the chat, whatever, or ask us for a guest seat, a guest hot seat where you can be like Leilani today and be like, hey, this damn thing happened this week. What's going on? What would you guys do? And we'll all show up for you if you want all three of us. Ronnie and I are always here every week, and we'll do that. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
Okay. So we will have show notes ready for you shortly, meaning today or tomorrow. We will have this up on Ronnie's YouTube, on my website, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.